All right. Shoot. Okay. Anybody else? Don, what'd you think? I'm going to pick on you. Sorry. Troy, how about you?
Hold on, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Can you hear me?
I can. Okay.
Got to click all these buttons.
I know. I hear you. I hear you.
I guess as far as the blended learning, I don't want to say it's the wave of the future, but I think it's a way for a lot of our learners that are much more technology advanced. They get that instant feedback through gaming and all of the technology exposure that they're given. And so I think this is just kind of a natural progression for some of our learners.
Sure. And one of the things that we've seen actually, along with what you're saying, is our at-risk students. We've seen tremendous growth in just attendance at school from our at-risk students because they feel like they have some say in the game now. Maybe they get school a little bit better. So that's great. Thank you, Don. All right. So just kind of a continuing of the blended options. So when you think of what schools look like in the past, I mean, we've all seen that one video, that one picture of classrooms from 1880 and our classrooms today and how they look the same. And we've all seen that. So I think a lot of our classrooms now are mostly face-to-face or fully face-to-face. And so we have the fully face-to-face on the right. We have our fully online on the left. And what we want is in the middle there. We want, as Don said, to be able to provide that immediate feedback to students so that they can have some ownership in the learning and know where they're at and what they need to do to improve their own learning, to have that intrinsic motivation. And so we want to move from fully face-to-face to mostly face-to-face to more face-to-face, and then same thing on the left side. We don't want fully online schools. That's not what blended is. We don't even want that mostly online. We want to be able to tie into technology, to be able to give feedback to students, to give students maybe some more ownership, some more motivation to move forward. And we want that even mix in the middle there. And so that's kind of what we're going for with both our year one and our year two, obviously. And how we do that, there's several different models of blended learning. And as you see here, we got the online learning, which is now what we're looking at, the brick and mortar. We want them coming together for the blended learning piece. And there's several different options here. There's an enriched virtual model where maybe there's a teacher that's mostly an online piece, maybe a teacher that's virtually talking to students or walking students through. We got a self-blend model, we got a flex model, and then we got the rotation model. And for better or worse, what we have really have focused on in the blended, especially with the year one, is that rotation model. And so Marcia Kish on her day will be giving lots of opportunity to give teachers some ideas on how to move forward in that station rotation model. And our coaches, our 7 coaches who will be providing the PD on a daily on those 4 sessions, will also be working on that station rotation. I think people see elementary more as using that rotation model. Maybe you have 6 or 7 students working with a teacher on a specific area where they're struggling. You have 6 or 7 students maybe doing some independent work, and maybe 6 or 7 students working on computers, working on maybe a program. Maybe you have another group of kiddos working on project-based learning. And so that rotation piece sometimes comes more naturally to our elementary, but what we're finding is it works at all levels. Just kind of bring up Linn-Mar again, the high school level last year. They've now named a high school principal that only worked with blended and personalized learning because they saw such growth in their students at the high school level. So this is something that happens from kindergarten all the way up through, I think, through college. It should be happening. And so the pieces in the rotation model that we will deal with are the station rotations. And this is where maybe we have a classroom set of computers or iPads, or students maybe using their phones or their Chromebooks, whatever it might be, in the classroom, and they're working through different stations that way. We have a lab rotation model, and we don't see it as much of this anymore. I think the classroom labs have kind of moved, are kind of a thing of the past, but sometimes they still might have a need for a lab in a building. And so maybe in a lab rotation, you'd have some students in the lab working on things, and some students in the classroom, and you'd be rotating that way. The flipped classroom model obviously has been around for a long time, and I've seen just tremendous growth in students being able to learn in the classroom with their teacher, be able to answer questions from them because they've gotten a lesson ahead of time from a flip standpoint. And so that's something that we all well know about. And then the individual rotation model, and that's, the station rotation, instead of having 6 or 7 kids each individually, students is working. And, that's more movement towards that personalization, where every student's kind of doing their own thing at their own path, pace, or place. And so, but what we really will look at is that rotation model this year. Anybody have any questions on that? What are you seeing in your classrooms now? Now, even before this, are you seeing any of these right now? I'll pick on Marian. How about you, Chad? Are you seeing anything?
Bits and pieces,
Okay. How about you, Jess? No, you're on chat.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. We definitely have seen a lot of work with the rotation model. And we've had experiences where some of our high school teachers have come to the elementary, to observe and kind of see how some of those things are carried out, in order to transfer that more to their classroom. But we've had a lot of conversations about, just calling centers stations and doing the same thing you always did doesn't make it blended learning. And so we've been trying to dig deeper into, you can't just say, well, I've been doing this for years. I have this mastered, because there are, components that are going to qualify it as blended learning versus just the same old kinds of centers things that you've always done.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. You think about just the advent now of having Power Schools at your disposal, or Infinite Campus, or Schoology, or Canvas, any of those pieces that students are able to now, teachers are able to grab that data on a regular basis to kind of move forward. And it's not just worksheets. And worksheets may be a piece of it, but it's not, I agree, it's not what we've always done. So great. Thank you, Jess. Anybody else have any ideas on that? Who haven't I heard from yet? Have I heard from everybody? I think I might have. All right. Okay. So kind of our vision. Our vision is that the most successful blended programs begin generally in response to desire of one of these 3 things. Obviously, I think we're all here to look at that boost student achievement. And the data that we have seen that's coming in from across the country, and even, like I said, from our agency, Cedar Rapids, College Community, have some great data showing us, in multiple other places. Mid-Prairie have some great data showing us that student achievement grows because we're getting to each student. We're not teaching to the middle anymore. We're trying to get to where every student is at. And so student achievement obviously is probably where most of us are at, but we also provide access to out-of-reach courses or opportunities. So some of our districts don't have access to certain courses or classes. It's just harder and harder to find teachers in different levels, so providing that access. And then even to improve schools' financial health. I think lots of districts are looking at that as well. But I think we're probably all mostly looking at that first part, that boost in achievement. But it could be a combination of all 3. Sometimes school discover an immediate need or a problem related to these areas that nudges them toward blended learning. In other cases, they spot an opportunity to decide to go for it. And as Dawn said earlier, I think technology is so important now in our kids' lives. We need to be accessing it because, I don't even know what the stats are anymore, but we all have heard the stats about how, today's freshmen are being prepared for jobs that don't even exist. Like 70% of the jobs don't even exist that they'll be applying for someday. And so those are things that we really need to be looking at those 5 C's for. And I think student achievement and that vision really helps that. Blended learning. And these are some things that we will talk about from administrators. So what's this look like from an administrative standpoint? And that's what we'll focus on. The teacher, but we'll also look at what's this look like from a teacher standpoint. One piece that's not in here is what's it look like from a coach's standpoint. And our coaches are so important in this. Beth will get to know your coaches on a very intimate basis. She'll have constant conversations, hopefully, with them to help provide the support they need to improve their practice and give them what they need to be able to be successful in your districts. But so we'll talk about that from coach's standpoint, from teacher standpoint, and then most importantly, from a student standpoint. Prior to coming to Grant Wood, I was administrator. I'm actually up in Okoboji now, so I'm actually here in Okoboji at Spirit Lake and then in Sioux Falls. And we saw, just from a student standpoint, the difficulty for some students because they figured school out. They know how to get an A. And now we're saying we're not giving an A, B, C, or D. You're going to go through standards, or you're going to hopefully go through these competencies. And so that's a turn for them. They're no longer being taught to the middle. They're maybe having some more ownership in their learning. They're having some more accountability in learning. So it looks different for students. And especially if we're integrating this from a higher level, from a high school level or from a middle school level, those students have kind of figured school out and they know what school looks like. And now we're telling them it looks different. And so that's a change for students. And that's something that we need to always remember. So I'm not sure how well you guys can answer this, but just thinking forward to April 11th, or better yet, to the end of the school year. What are some of your hopes for blended learning or fears? Do you have any hopes or fears that can help us kind of gear some of what we're talking about here so that we can help you provide support for you? What are some of the hopes that you might have when it comes to blended? I want to share that. Or fears, anything.
I'll go.
Great.
I think that one of the things that I always want to try to balance, because I believe that this is the right work, and then I also have a strong belief about the importance of good quality explicit reading instruction in the elementary. And so my hope is that I continue to be able to lead and support this in a way that, allows them to simultaneously exist and doesn't cause teachers, stress in which way do I go? That we always, we have that balance so that our literacy instruction is, what it needs to be. And we, at the same time, provide these great opportunities for kids.
And I totally agree with that. Just because you're doing blended doesn't mean it happens at all times, at all days. Your explicit reading instruction, especially at that primary level, that doesn't need to change. It can. We can make it better, but it doesn't have to. And so I agree with that. Great. And I think it's also, and we'll talk about this a lot on the roadmap, this does not all have to happen at once. This is baby steps. This is hopefully, seeing some success and then trying a little bit more. So great. I appreciate that. Anything else?
I can, as far as looking at the whole district, because I think, each teacher is at a different place in their understanding of blended learning. I think as a district to have some type of common, or just maybe that everybody knows what blended learning is and what it can look like. So that way we're all on the same page. Because I think I totally agree with what Jess said. And I think that kind of leads into my fear of we're going to have some teachers that throw everything out and come right back, and adopt this, but yet they may not have the tools in place to do it, to understand it, and to do it purposefully.
So
some of my hopes is part of my fears.
exactly. Well, I think Jess's was too. Yeah, exactly. So being able to meet everybody where they're at, and we need to have purposeful. It needs to be purposeful.
Correct.
Integration. Yep. And I think you'll have teachers all over the place, and we'll share some testimonials to you from some of the teachers before that. One teacher I could think of from Clear Creek she was so adamant against this that she was being made to come here, and it was the worst thing. And by the end of the year, she's changed everything she's done. She loves it, or she's seen growth in her students. It's been tremendous. And then we have other students, like you said, other teachers, like you say, Don, that they're one of those people that, and I was kind of like that too. They throw everything out like, okay, we're going to do this. But you're right. They don't have everything completely thought out. They have all the tools they need. They maybe haven't worked with the other teachers to make sure that they can ensure having the technology when they need it, or being able to move things purposely to be able to improve achievements. That's great. Thank you, Don. So these are both hopes and fears. So I'm going to eliminate the fear session and just go with hopes and fears. Anything else? And as I said, when we move forward as an administrative side, hopefully you'll have some more. We'll give you some more guidance there. And like I said, I really like the roadmap tool that we'll share with you. That will be homework for you to work through. I think it really provides some guidance for each district to be able to personalize it for what their district needs. Because Tipton is not West Branch, which is not Marion, which is not who else we have on here? Not College Community. So all of your districts have different needs. All of your teachers have different needs, and then all your buildings within your districts have different needs. And even within your building, your primary and your intermediate. So that's fantastic. If you think of anything more, just let me know. Okay, so next steps here, we're winding this thing down, is all of you got directions to participate in the meet and greet introduction forum and in the 2 Truths and a Lie. So if you could have that done before September 8th session, I believe it is, September 21st, sorry. I think it was September 8th last year. That would be great. And I'll send some reminders out before that. In addition to that, if you could use this search feature. So basically you would get into, how do I get out of there? You get into your Moodle, and if you go to the orientation session, or actually the online pre-work session. So in session 1, online pre-work, there is a piece here where it says application activities. And if you go to use the search feature, so again, if I am at the start, I did that clunky, I go to session 1, I go to online pre-work, and then I go up to application activities, and I'll give the directions of these again. There's a search feature in here. And this has not every school, obviously, throughout the country, but a good number of schools across the country. And I think there's a couple Iowa schools, I believe. Marshalltown, and Cedar Rapids are listed. But there's lots of districts. So, for instance, lots of our districts last year actually went on some visits to work on what this to give them an idea of what this looks like. And a lot of the districts went over to Illinois to both Fremont 79 and to Huntley school districts, and just to kind of visit, see what it looks like in their building, what's personalized learning look like in their district or in their building. So we would like for you to go to that search feature and just kind of cruise around, find a couple of districts that maybe you can kind of identify with, that maybe meet your demographics, your size, your location, and be able to talk a little bit about what you saw from those districts in that search feature. And I'll send this to you again here soon. But that's a couple online work, not before September 21st. So I'll send it to you probably, I don't know, early September or something like that. Probably Connie will actually send you a couple of reminders about this. But we want to make sure everybody, again, is in the Moodle, is able to move around, be able to get in there, to be able to look at things. So there's just a couple things that we'll do before the September session. So with that, are there any questions or any comments that you might have? Again, this was just a real surface level overview to kind of show you what the Moodle looked like, give you some ideas of what we're going to be talking about this year, and provide some background as to what the Friday Institute is and what kind of PD you'll be getting this year. Are there any questions at all? Hopefully everybody was able to get in, able to move around. All right. Well, if you have anything at all, you have my information. I'll send you Erica's and Connie as well. If you have anything at all, let us know. We're here to support you. Like I said, last year we felt really good about the feedback we got. We think it'll be even better this year. We'll be able to personalize it by doing it in-house with our ongoing calls for coaches. So there'll be an ongoing call once a month for coaches, for all coaches, and then there'll be individual calls with each coach or individual meetings with each coach to kind of move them forward. I'll be doing some of the same with the administrative side, popping in, maybe answering some questions, and able to talk about your roadmap, thinking about some things moving forward. Maybe I'll join an admin team meeting that you might have to talk about if you're doing it at district level. So that'll be some of the support we'll provide along the way here, but we're really excited about it. We think it's going to be fantastic. We have content from math, literacy, both secondary and elementary, school improvement, tech integration, science, social studies. So we got it from each of the content areas. We got it from tech standpoint. We got it from a leadership standpoint. So we're real excited about the support. This is the favorite part of my job. We've seen great things in the past few years. So excited to move forward. If I don't have any more other questions or comments, I'll let you guys go. So nothing more in the chat. Okay. Well, great. Thank you. I know it's tough in the middle of July. Like I said, I'm in Okoboji, so we're all over the place, and we'll probably see some of you guys next week, or later this week, actually, at SAI. Thank you very much. Again, let me know if you have any questions. Great. Thank you.